Hi, this is Jeffrey Schmidt, and this is number 5 in my Audio Recording 101 series. And this one is entitled, What is a Digital Signal? So, we talked about what a typical input recording chain could look like at the minimum. Of course, it can be more complicated than that, and maybe we'll get to that in later videos. But at this point, I thought it was pertinent to try to describe to those of you that don't know what a digital signal is, what it really is, so that we can actually talk about sampling rate afterwards. So, in red here, I have an analog signal on an audio cable. Now, here on the y-axis, we have voltage measured in millivolts. And here on our time axis, we have time measured in milliseconds. So our signal starts here at 0 seconds at 0 millivolts. And then at 1 millisecond, it goes up in a smooth way or a continuous way up to 2 millivolts. And it continues, and it has a certain path, which of course all signals that come out of a microphone do. And if you look at them in a DAW, a digital audio workstation, once they've been recorded, you'll see strange mountains and valleys like this. And that is the way audio signals look when you look at them. Now, what are we going to do in order to convert this analog electrical signal into a digital signal, or a signal that we can store on a computer? Computers only know how to store a finite amount of information. On magnetic tape, in the past, we would have stored this analog signal directly. But this analog signal in red has an infinite amount of data, right? Because we have, at any point in time, we have a level of this signal, right? But in the digital world, we have to decide which parts of the signal we're going to keep and which we're going to throw away. And we do that by sampling the signal at regular intervals. And here I decided to sample my signal every millisecond. And so that means that the red signal is going to go into my A to D converter, and the blue signal is going to go out of my A to D converter to my audio interface, or directly from my audio interface to my computer if I'm recording on a computer. So what you're, if this is your input signal and you're sampling every 1 milliseconds, then you're only going to be sending to your computer the information 0, then 2 millivolts, then 3 millivolts, then 3 millivolts, then minus 1 millivolts, then minus 2 millivolts, etc. So you can see that we've reduced the amount of information in a digital signal very, very substantially, which makes it easier to manipulate and easier to store. And, as we'll see in future episodes, if we sample our audio signal at a sufficiently high rate, we'll be able to reconstruct the signal into an analog signal that people can listen to under certain conditions. Because, let's be honest, you can't listen to a digital signal. So in order to listen to a so-called digital signal, you're going to have to reconvert it into an analog signal. And that's something that we'll get to, perhaps in future episodes if people are interested. But here, my main point is just to describe the difference between an analog signal and a digital signal, and what that looks like on a graph.